ahead and to sign it, that it would be sent. For some reason, it wasn't sent. When did you become aware that it wasn't sent?
There was another email that, the only trail I could get, there was an email sent out by Divisional Head Nkwating to IPID. That would give me a timeline, because a few days before I asked them, have this been sent out? Because I saw the signature. I saw this document here in 344, which was signed by them. And I asked them, had it been sent out? So timeline-wise, I can't give you the exact date, but there is an email that went out. I will try and track that, and I can say, but it should have been only last year? I think it was only last year. Yeah.
Okay. So the letter seems to have served two purposes. One is for the MMC to send it to IPID, and for some reason it wasn't sent. But then there must have been a second reason, because if we look at PN 19, where it had draft for the MMC, it now has Office of the HOD. So this is now, it appears to be a document that would go out from your office. But then if it's worded as I referred to, so there's one author. But if we look at the signatures on page 348, it has your two juniors.
Yes, ma'am. As I said, the document, after initially receiving the IPID report, engaging with that, I did hand it over to Divisional Head, Zulu. So between him and Nkwating, they then drafted the document. I wasn't around when he was signing the document on the 13th of December. I only, after that, when I inquired, as the matters came out onto the open to resuscitate the Mkonazi matter, I asked him, but how far are we with that? And then he told me, no, it has not gone out. He provided me a copy of the document, and that is when I'm saying. But yes, it's I. If I had the time to discuss it with him, I would have been the author ordinarily, or the secondary person signing overall. It will come then from the divisional head who drafted the document, and then I would have signed.
So you don't know why PN 19 was signed by your juniors, and you don't know who it was sent to, because it must have been signed for a purpose.
No, I'm not aware. I know that from the signature itself, but I didn't finalize this document on my side. I inquired about this after becoming aware last year, and then I was told, no, it has not been sent out yet. But there was always an intention to send it out to the office of the MMC.
And is there a reason why the election was made for the response to IPID to go out under the name of the MMC, Community Safety? Why not under the city manager?
The report came through to the mayor and the MMC. So the MMC was involved, and she said because she will communicate that to the IPID's office, because we were asking. But if you look at the address in the IPID, it was the chief of police. City manager general would have been in the office to send as being overall in charge of the chief of police. So we were just sent to Linda. Hence, the communication was to Linda Naika to look at the MMC, and then between them to liaise and see who would be sending off the document.
Well, you must have known that the decision was made, or you made the decision that the MMC must send it out, because you sent the email to Linda Naika saying for the MMC, here's the draft for the MMC. You don't say here's the draft for the city manager. You're sending it to Linda Naika, who is the city manager's PA. Is that not so?
That's correct.
And she must send it to the MMC, not to the city manager.
Yes, because of the way, most of the reports, forensic reports or regulatory body reports come to the office of the city manager. This went specifically to the executive mayor and the MMC. The executive mayor gave that to the MMC. So that is why the trail then was do we go send it back to the MMC? And then if the MMC said, no, I want it as an administration, she would have referred. So it would have been between the city manager and the MMC.
I want to suggest to you that the MMC the decision was made for it to go under the MMC's name in order to disguise the fact that it was really the city manager's position, but she couldn't officially put that as her position. The letter was protecting Commissioner Mkonazi. It was defending the allegations of fraud and corruption against him, and she didn't want her name under that letter.
Chair, I can't to the extent of what is described in, but I can't discount that as well, but the instruction was to give it to, my engagement was with the MMC's office, Mr. PA, and I've engaged with the MMC as well on the issue, but I can't discount the fact that the city manager did not, decided not to do that, but I was a direct communication with the MMC, especially because it came through the political side. One of the issues that the city manager was very annoyed about was why was this report gone to the mayor and the MMC, and it could have been then directing that way to the MMC's office. So since you received it, you deal with it. But I just follow the instructions. I engaged with the MMC, I engaged with the city manager, and then I said, send it to the MMC. Hence the letter said to Linda to send it to the MMC.
Okay, we can move on then to deal with the next aspect, which is the contents of the response on PN 19.
Maybe before you do that, Mr. Gals, just to clear my confusion here. Mr. Behari, the PN 19 letter is dated the 6th of December 2023. And then in the supplementary, these new documents in the supplementary bundle, at page 84, that's your email to Linda Naika. That email is the 7th of December. And then you say, hi Linda, please see revised letter for MMC. Advocate Zulu will submit the comprehensive report. So, and what you attach, I think what you've discussed with Ms. Sigals, Ngube, is page 85 is what was attached to that letter. So, and if that is so, on the 7th of December, you send this draft at page 85. And the very last sentence of that letter says, I have since referred the report for consideration and implementation of the findings. This is on the 7th of December. But on the 30th of November, still in that supplementary bundle at page 86, on the 30th of November, you have prepared a completely different draft, which, this is on the 30th of November. You've prepared a different draft, which Ms. Sigals will discuss with you the contents of. Plus, but this is the one that ends with, you don't accept the suggestion of IPIT. Please, and then you say to IPIT, please respond within the next 10 days. And that letter again would have come from the MMC at page 87. So it would have come from the MMC. So on the 30th of November, it's a completely different posture to one taken on the 7th of December, which says it will be implemented and still coming from the same MMC. And then we know from PN 19 that it's again a completely different letter on the 6th of December. Can you just explain what was going on here?
Thank you.
A decision not to comply, and then there's a decision to comply, and all of it comes under your hand. So you must have thought about it in a certain way.
Mr. Baloyi, thank you for that. If you look at document page 86, which is a letter from Linda Naika, of the page 86 of the supplementary.
November, your email.
30th of November, yes.
This is Linda Naika's email.
Linda Naika's email?
Yeah.
To the PA, amongst others, on the 9th of, or 12th of September. Attached here to it a draft to be placed on the MMC's letterhead. So that was the document that was drafted in that draft form, and it correlates to exactly to the document PN 19. Thereafter, there were some revisions that were to be placed, and hence, in the email from myself to Linda, I said on the 7th of December, hi Linda, kindly see revised data for MMC. Advocate Zulu will submit a comprehensive report. That was the end of where I was there. Then, on the 6th of December, there was a letter.
A day before.
A day before.
A day before you send a draft that says, from the MMC, that says, I have since referred the report for consideration and implementation of the findings. Because, maybe let me just explain what I'm trying to clarify. It's the PN19 letter is not which is the 6th of December. It's not an implementation of the findings, as you will discuss with Ms. Nube now.
No.
It's a challenge of the IPID report, and yet, and unless I'm reading it wrong, and yet on the 7th of December, the letter that you attach says, I have since referred the report for consideration and implementation of the findings. So if page 85 in the supplementary bundle had gone out to IPID would have been under the impression, was being given the impression that its findings are being implemented. That's the impression it was being given in this draft that you are sending on the 7th, right?
Yeah.
Do you agree with me?
It certainly looks like that.
Yes. And yet, on the 6th, your office, a day before, has prepared and sent out what you say is an internal document, has sent out a document that is not implementing the IPID report. So there's this worrying impression that it seems there was an intention to mislead IPID to say we are implementing when in fact the internal document clearly was not intending to implement.
Chair, I'm just trying to get the part where we said we're implementing.
It's on page 85.
It's 85, the very last sentence.
Okay. But to correlate that back to the, trying to get it back to the first document here. You see,
The first document is emailed on the 30th, page 86, 30th of November, and that document is to be found 87 to 90. You are the author, as we can see from 91. That document is identical to PN19. That was sent on the 30th of November. The document that Commissioner Baloy is asking you about is on page 85, which was sent on the 7th of December, which is a one-pager that effectively says we are considering and implementing the findings of IPID. And there's a difference of 7 days. So the 30th of November, you sent the long letter where you rubbish IPID's findings, but on the 7th, there is a one-pager where you're effectively communicating that there's going to be an implementation of the findings. So the question is, what brought about the change? Is it because the MMC didn't agree with the letter that was sent to her on the 30th of November, where she had to sign and put on her letterhead?
no, Chair, we didn't, I'm trying to see if this, but this should have been a full document. I mean, the 85, there's, I don't think there was any other additional documents. It's just one page. And I agree, it says here, I've since referred the report for consideration and implementation. That's from the MMC. It was an earlier document there, she would have said, I've referred the document for consideration and implementation. And which you would have done already when we had the meeting for, the initial meeting. So there's no dates and so on, hence it's what I'm finding, but the intention of the MMC, because the report was given to her and to the mayor, would have been to respond to IPID and say, I've since reported to fulfill her functions. Her report would have gone to the city manager to implement. City manager then would have, so this document of the 6th of December would have been drafted then for the purposes of, so it's an engagement to Linda to say that Advocate Zulu will do a comprehensive report, but there's something that I'm missing here. I can't have a two-line, but there was never intention to
No.
It did challenge the contents of the IPED report in terms of its here. It was signed on the 13th of December, so that is the timeline I'm trying to wrap my head against.
Well, the 6th December letter, the letter that's dated 6th December and signed by your juniors on the 13th of December, was obviously drafted prior to the 30th of November when it was sent to the MMC. It was sent to the MMC as a draft for her to append her signature and put it on her letterhead. The wording of that letter at page 87 to 90 is identical to what is your junior signed. So the draft was obviously prepared before 6 December because what you intended to do was to send this to the MMC. Then on the 7th, a different draft is sent by you to Linda to communicate a different instruction or a different letter to the MMC saying, here's the revised letter for the MMC. And Commissioner Baloy wants to know why is there a revision and a substantial revision. We've gone from a 4-page document to a 1-pager saying we're going to implement the findings.
So the 1-pager, as I said, I would not have, in my sense, only had a 1-pager document to implement the findings. Hence, I don't know where and what is before me, of course, is I can't dispute this now. But in terms of what there's no document where, even this document is unsigned or there's no indication of who's drafted this document. But it would have been more to it. But I have since referred the report for consideration and implementation. That would have been then an initial assessment, I believe, to the IPED to say that then there were the follow-up documents that would have been drafted in this regard. I'm not aware, as I said, I don't have the full documents on that 1-pager. It seems to be an unfinished document, but...
Mr. Behari, can you go to page 91, which is the document properties of the long letter, the long draft, which has your name as the author. Do you see the title of the document? Draft for MMC IPED Makwanazi, just as you pronounce his name, Makwanazi with the A, 23/11/2023. So the document was drafted on the 23rd of November, 2023 by you. It is then sent as a draft to Linda to send to the MMC on the 30th of November for her to put her signature and send it to IPED. She doesn't do that clearly because on the 7th of December you send a different letter to Linda to send to the MMC, which effectively says we are implementing the findings. It's not a difficult trail to follow.
Council, the page 91 refers to the author for me authoring the document on page 87. Right. That is a full document here, which is different from the 1-pager.
Yes, that's what we're saying. It is, the 1-page is not an incomplete document. It's only missing her signature. It's got the addresses. It doesn't have a date, but it has it's a complete letter. Third, the report for consideration and implementation of the findings. All that it needs is her signature. And you don't even say in the letter that you sent to, the email that you sent to Linda on page 84, you say, please see the revised letter. You don't even refer to it as a draft letter. You say the revised letter for MMC. Then you say Advocate Zulu will submit comprehensive report later. And I submit to you that that comprehensive report is PN 19 because the MMC didn't want to send PN 19. She didn't want to put a signature on it. You changed the letter on her instruction most likely, and then you drafted PN 19 as the report to IPED. This was the city's report. This is the comprehensive report that's being referred to.
The one of the,
on page 84.
The one on page 84.
Yes, you converted the long document, page 87, into a report because the MMC didn't want to append her signature to it.
Chair, the MMC at all stages in the discussion, and if you look at this, let's look at that page 85, Chair, if I may. The opening part is just the same. The issue is, and that's what I'm saying, I'm worried about this not being a full document. I've never seen a document in all, even when we, that is a 1-pager deals with this now. I've since referred the report for consideration, yes. That was in a draft form. I don't know what the content of it is. But the MMC at all stages, because she was engaged in terms of referring to and reporting back to IPID. We drafted the document, but we did raise the concerns. Now, this document here of the 6th of December would have been the full report that would have been sent to the MMC's office and to the IPID. Now, I ascertained from the divisional heads on the 13th, or who signed on the 13th, that this document never went out. But I see here, please see revised letter from MMC, for MMC Advocate Zulu on the 7th of December. And that is where perhaps I'm struggling a bit, but it was never a document that was, as I said, I don't have the full document here, the 85 one. I've never done any document in this time. The trail that you're referring to on page 30, on page 91, refers to the other document on page 87, which then seems to be the one document that comes over. Is the page 87 document, the draft there to MMC, is the same document here with 344 PN19, which has the issue of the office of the HOD. So there was clearly an intention to send this through to the IPID. We drafted the document, but I ascertained from internal staff it never went out to IPID. And I don't know what was the reason for that, but from having deleted this document here and then transposed it, it would have been, and even there, it doesn't come from the office of the HOD. I would not have sent out a document. So these are some of the issues I found that after I became aware of this, in fact, only last year, when I should have been more prudent and followed up and said, where's the documents? Why have we not sent it out or whatever it is? But that was never done. But it was not for, and I say the one pager, I can't for the, is there no email trail for that or trail for the document preparation for that one pager as well? Chair, I'm just checking if there's something again.
Yeah, Mr. Behari, I'm not sure what it is you're questioning about the one pager. Your draft, which you admitted, which is at page 87, which was supposed to come from the MMC, that's a long letter.
Yeah.
That later becomes PN 19.
Yes.
It doesn't have a date and it doesn't have a signature at the bottom. So the fact that the one pager doesn't have a date and it doesn't have a signature at the bottom must be irrelevant, because you have admitted page 87,
Yeah.
which lacks a date and it lacks a signature.
Yeah.
So that cannot be a distinguishing factor for debate, or that creates uncertainty just because the one pager doesn't have a date and it doesn't have a signature.